Giving you story after story, everything is true. Some things are kinda scary, so what you gonna do? Cause that's another tale from the Sipp. That's another tale from the Sipp. Sometimes we spit scripture, line upon line, not discussing wickedness, but what is divine. And
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tales from the Sipp. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Back once again. Tales from the Sipp, episode 67. My testimony, part 2. Yeah. First, you know what I'm saying, last week, I gave you a introduction, you know what I'm saying? This might be part 2 of the introduction, really, because it's a lot, man. You know what I'm saying? But let's get into it. So, you heard of how, you know what I'm saying, we did church and, you know what I'm saying, did all that, you know what I'm talking about. But while I was in church, like I say, my mama took all of us to church every Sunday. You know what I'm saying? She made sure we was in there learning the word of the Most High. You know what I'm talking about? At the time, we had our pastor called, his name was Reverend Jenkins. You know what I'm saying? You know, for the sake of the video, I can mention his name. He been gone for like almost 30 years, but you know what I'm saying? I mentioned his name. He was, you know, serious dude about that word of the Most High. And man, I used to go to church. Man, I used to listen to that dude preach, man. I used to be scared. No, I used to fear that dude, man. I used to like, man, these the people that the Most High dealing with. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, hey, man, I was scared if just say, you know how children you know, show out in church and show out in public doing stuff they ain't got no business. Man, if that dude would have walked down there and say, hey, what are you doing? Man, I'd have turned ice cold. I felt back then, when I was growing up, that the preacher was straight up sent by the Most High. And if he said something, man, you know, you might die. I was scared of preachers when I was growing up because I felt, you know, I at the time, this wasn't no dude that like these preachers today running around laying up with women and doing a wicked stuff and stuff, man. That dude was serious, man. You know what I'm saying? Not saying he knew everything or he knew it all, but he knew what he knew. You know what I'm talking about? And when I was growing up, man, you know, you knew you got to keep. I mean, it was just a fact. You know, it wasn't like, you know, how people be saying you don't keep the commandments and stuff like that. You actually knew you keep the commandments. When I in the church I've grown up in, I don't know what everybody did across the board, but I'm talking about the black church, the missionary Baptist church. You knew you got to keep the commandments and follow Christ. You knew that. That was one thing that was put into you. It wasn't just explicitly said that, hey, you know what I'm saying? This is like blah, 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 blah. You knew, man, you knew you couldn't commit adultery. You knew that was a sin. You knew you weren't supposed to kill, murder people. Now, a lot of people say kill, but it's actually murder. You know, you don't supposed to murder people. But if you at war, are you more murdering someone? Uh, so if we go to war against the other people and I kill them, because I will, I ain't sinning. I'm protecting my people. I'm protecting my family. I'm protecting my household. I don't feel nothing bad about it. So, but I'm just saying. So, yeah, I'm from Mississippi. That's how we get on. That's how we're a different type. We're a different breed of people. But anyway, so thing is, I used to fear that dude, man. Man, I walk in there, man. That dude look at me, man. I be like, as a child, hey, this the man of God. You know that's what we say, man of God. Which God just that's something. It just term. God can be anything, but we talking about the Most High. So that's who I consider that dude as. And for the sake of the argument, the man was he. I ain't never heard nothing bad about that dude. I ain't never heard about him doing this and doing that. With somebody else. Messing around with females and doing wicked stuff. I ain't never heard nothing about that dude. So, hey, that one hey, he a Christian, and hey, that's what he is. You know what I'm saying? But you knew you got to keep the law. I don't know why people think you ain't got to keep the law. That's crazy. You mean to tell me? Now you put in the comments. If somebody say, hey, you don't have to keep the law no more. So that means I can come sleep with your wife and you ain't gonna get mad. It ain't no sin. But we gotta keep the law. First James chapter 3, verse 4. Sin is a transgression of the law or breaking the law. That's crazy, man. So you mean to tell me I can go out and murder somebody and ain't no repercussions of it? It sounds stupid, man. We knew that. I knew that when I was a child that you can't do that. That's against the Most High, man. Now, I didn't know the whole situation, but I knew that you got to keep the Ten Commandments. I knew that. I knew that from a child, man. And when you listen to Rev teach, and he taught you that, man. This was back in the 80s, man. You know, you call me old nigga, whatever, whatever. But I knew that you got to keep them Ten Commandments, man. But I also, from the teachings of my uncle, my Sunday school teacher, yeah, I also knew that hey, from what I ascertained through the teaching of both of them and other people in church, I felt you're supposed to keep all the Most High's commandments. I know you when you go to Leviticus, Deuteronomy, or anything in the Bible, you supposed to keep everything. You don't just even more than the Ten Commandments. You supposed to. Man should not live by bread alone, but out of every word that, but every word that proceeded out of the mouth of Yah, you supposed to keep it. That was the foundation for who I am. Man should not live by bread alone, but out of every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yah. I didn't call him Yah then. But about as when I turned 10, that's when I started saying that. Because I started studying. And there you go. I'm gonna get to that, but right now, let's say this. So I was sitting up here, man, And let me get to this real fast. I gotta move this along. I want to make this real long. So one day I was sitting up here and this man was up there preaching. I had a lot of respect, for that guy. And while he was up there preaching, I started seeing myself up there. But I was a child. But I seen myself as an adult. Me up there preaching myself. So I'm like, whoa, what is this? This is crazy. But that happened. But I finished that on part 3. Tales from the Sipp, episode 67. Be on the lookout for episode 68. Part 3. My testimony. I'm about to get into it. Yes, sir. Peace out.
That's another tale from the Sipp. That's another tale from the Sipp. Sometimes your boy may go way back in the day, talk about experiences and the games that he played. And that's another tale from the Sipp. That's another tale from the Sipp. Hey.